He was so young. He's just a little over 10 years old, and now I'm 22, and I was 12 when this came out. Hey guys, how you doing? Really? Well, guess what? I'm not doing great at all, because even though this video will be going up later, today, January 14th, 2020, is the end of the road and EOL for our beloved Windows 7. As a tech, being a tech since 2006, this is probably the saddest day in my life. Even Windows XP EOL, that was already painful enough back in 2014, but this is just, because before we get started with our installation sensation commemoration, not really a celebration, but you know what I mean. I would like to tell a personal story about Windows 7 before I dive in and explain the new features of Windows 7 and why this episode, if you couldn't already tell by the packaging, is going to be different. First of all, it's sort of a celebration because I got a new job, I'm back on my feet, I'm in a new home up here in the Boston area, so if you want to come visit me, if you live in Boston, come say hi, I don't mind. Anyways, back to the matter at hand. I was 12 years old when Windows 7 came out. It came out on October 22nd, 2009 for general availability. The retail availability date was, the RTM release date, I believe, was July 22nd, 2009. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember if it was the 22nd, but I know it was July of 2009. But I bought Windows 7, not Starter Edition, but Home Premium Edition, brand new at Best Buy, a couple days after Windows 7 released for general availability. Its release date was actually one day after my birthday. My birthday is October 21st, so Windows 7 came out one day after my birthday. Now, I remember, because I won't go into too much detail, but I will tell you that I was a victim of bullying, pretty bad bullying in middle school, and, including having my head dunked in a toilet bowl after the bullies had defecated and, done their business in it. And this was literally right after that incident. Like, this happened in September of 2009, and this was October, so I was already traumatized from that incident. But as a tech, I could never let my pride down in technology, and back then my love for Microsoft and admiration for Microsoft products. So I went to Best Buy. Back then I had a Toshiba Satellite A305 S6905, which if you go through the archives on my channel, you may be able to find a video or two about that. And I upgraded it from Windows Vista Home Premium to Windows 7 Home Premium. And I do not regret that decision one bit. Unfortunately, I no longer have that laptop. Unfortunately, the motherboard ended up dying on it, which I was pretty down in the dumps about that. But anyways, I installed Windows 7, and I was blown away. The fluency, the aesthetics, the responsiveness of it compared to some Vista machines. I won't say Vista was horrible, but it was sort of like Windows ME. On some hardware it played nice, other hardware it didn't. But Windows 7, on the other hand, even if you had a Pentium 4, it wouldn't run very well, but it was still faster than Vista. And a lot of people called Windows 7 what Vista should have been. So in today's video, on the night of Windows 7 EOL, at 5:36 p.m. Eastern Time, January 14th, 2020, we are going to be installing Windows 7 Starter Edition. Yes, I do have a copy of Starter Edition, and I will give the product key at the end of the video. Now that Windows 7 is officially dead, I will give the product key at the end of the video, so if you want to copy that key, you're free to waste your time as you please. Anyways, let's take a look at the box, and let's take a look at the computer we're going to be installing this on. So, get a close-up view of the box. You can see Windows 7 Starter Edition. This was their tagline, "Welcome to your PC Simplified," because Windows Vista was a little bit tricky for people to navigate, but Windows 7 sort of simplified that. Activation restrictions. Yes, this is Starter Edition, and because this is Starter Edition, in the United States, Starter Edition was only available pre-installed by OEMs. It was not available for retail sale. Likewise, Home Basic and Enterprise editions were the same way. The only difference was Enterprise was only available for volume licensing customers, and Home Basic and Starter Edition were only available in emerging markets. Now this one is designed for Latin America and the Caribbean, if you can't already read the activation restrictions dialogue there, or a blurb there rather. We'll take a look inside. There's the inside. You get your very colorful and very vibrant instruction manual. And there's the back in case you didn't already see that. Basically it just explains some of the features. I'll show some of that right now. I'll just show a couple pages just like that. And I believe this instruction manual is 16 pages long. Let me hold that up to the camera so you guys can see. Focus. You might be able to see it. 16 pages. So now for the meat and potatoes, the disk. Now this is back when Microsoft used all those holograms because they were worried about software piracy, but this is what the Windows 7 Starter Edition disk looks like. This is a non-Service Pack 1 disk. After Service Pack 1, they got rid of these colorful golden holograms on the sides. They were just green. They were green disks for Home Premium, blue for Professional, and black for Ultimate. And which, speaking of which, I forgot to explain the editions of Windows 7. Yay me. Anyways. Let me take a brief second here and I'll explain what Windows 7 did as far as editions, because Apple always made fun of this one. So we'll take a look at that now. So obviously there's the edition I have, Starter Edition, which was the lowest edition on the hierarchy. There was Home Basic Edition, which unlike Vista, Windows 7 Home Basic was only available in emerging markets. You could not buy it in a retail store in the United States or Canada. Then there was Home Premium Edition, and the next three editions I'll list were available for retail sale. Home Premium was basically Windows Vista Home Premium, except Windows 7, and it had the redesigned Taskbar, Aero jump lists, Aero Snap, which are features we'll delve into in a little bit when we actually install the operating system. But yeah, so that was all in Windows 7 Home Premium. It was very similar to Vista Home Premium. They renamed Windows Vista Business to went back to using the professional name like they did with XP. So in Windows 7, it was called Windows 7 Professional. That was your small business, usually schools, government offices. Most of them used Windows 7 Professional. Then there was Windows 7 Ultimate, which was essentially Windows Vista Ultimate. The only difference was it did not include Windows Ultimate Extras, which had stuff like Dream Scene and some of the fancy games that Windows Vista Ultimate had. That was no longer included in Windows 7. So Windows 7 Ultimate was basically a better version of Windows Vista Ultimate. Then there was Windows 7 Enterprise, which was only available for volume licensing customers, and it was basically Windows 7 Ultimate, but with... I don't remember the exact features, but I know it was more used in like schools, colleges. That's where you'd see Windows 7 Enterprise in use. So I think I've gabbed on long enough and gave a little brief description of Windows 7. Let's take a look at the computer we're going to be installing it on. Let me just turn the camera here. I know I'm a very professional videographer here, and apparently I can't turn the camera. So you know what? Here's on the digitally, so I'll just do it manually. So this here is my 2012 MacBook Pro. I have since got a 2018 MacBook Air, but I still use my MacBook Pro for video editing and also just for testing stuff on. So we're going to be installing it on this 2012 MacBook Pro, and even though it does have an optical drive slot, I have swapped that for a hard drive. So how are we going to use the disk? I'm going to be using this handy-dandy Lenovo external optical drive here. So I've already got a copy of VirtualBox on this MacBook Pro. So without further ado, let's bid farewell to Windows 7. And I'll try not to cry. I know I'm a terrible actor. I'm so sorry. All right, the time has come. I've got VirtualBox and Mono Snap ready to record, so here we go. Windows 7 Starter, you and me together will celebrate the final day of Windows 7's life. Now, before I continue, I did forget to mention something. I've already overlooked something. Yes, folks, there is an exception while you watch me put this disk in. There is an exception to Windows 7's EOL policy. If you pay Microsoft for an extended support contract, you can still get paid security updates for Windows 7 through Windows 8's EOL date, which is January 10th, 2023. So, and I will be sure on January 10th, 2023, in 3 years, roughly, a little under 3 years, to do a video on Windows 8, because that was another OS that holds a special place in my heart, because it was the last major version of Windows I used before I switched to the Mac. Anyways, without further ado, enough chit-chat, let me go ahead and switch over to MonoSnap, and I'll see you guys in a minute. Take care. Alright guys, the time has come. So, I've already created a Windows 7 VM here, which is Windows 7 Home Premium, but you know what? I want to leave that. I'm gonna go ahead and just completely wipe this, because Windows 7 is officially dead today. So we're gonna rename this to Windows 7 Starter. It will be 32-bit Windows 7 Starter, because Windows 7 Starter has no 64-bit edition. 2 gigs of RAM is fine. Leave all that, all these parameters. Okay, that all looks good. We'll leave the drive as it is. 128 megs of VRAM, which we really don't need because Windows 7 Starter does not have Aero. Okay, I think we're all ready. Oh, no we're not. Because you know why? Because I completely forgot to change the disk to the host drive. So we're going to turn on pass-through. I believe you have to turn that on or else it won't work. That's the TAC drive. All right. All right, everyone. Cross your fingers. Here we go. Windows 7 Starter. And we may have to change the boot order in the BIOS, but let's see what happens. Okay, I hear the drive spinning up. Press any key to boot from CD or DVD. There we go. Windows is loading files. And just so you know, I decided not to do a face cam for this, only because I felt that, you know, I already showed you what I look like, in case you haven't seen some of my other videos and don't know what I look like. But I decided not to do a face cam because in the past I've had issues with the face cam covering up portions of the screen, and right now I can't figure out how to sort of make it more transparent or move it around with OBS, so please bear with me. But yeah, I tried using MonoSnap, and for whatever reason it wouldn't detect my new microphone, but OBS did, because OBS is awesome, right? Ah yes, that famous startup screen, starting Windows. Look how quick that is. Yep, you don't see that anymore, you just see the Windows logo and the spinning dots. Oh, doesn't this scream nostalgia? Windows 7. So let's make it Japanese, because English is the only option. We're going to be English Estonia, sure. And for keyboard layout, we'll do Vietnamese. Why not? Or Wolof. That looks like a cool name. Wolof. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Do I really care? No. Anyways, install now. Here we go. Setup is starting. Now, I will be cutting out portions of this, obviously, because I was originally planning to do a live stream, but my ISP can't install my internet service until Thursday, so this one, unfortunately, will be a VOD. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and we're going to delete these partitions because we don't need them. These just contain a copy of Windows 7 Home Premium, and I have a snapshot anyway, so I can restore from a snapshot if I want to. But anyways, unallocated space. Here we go. You and me together. We're going to hit next. And this is the process that usually takes a long time. And since we're not installing Windows from a USB flash drive, this is going to take a while. The reason I decided to use optical media for this is because, well, back in 2009, people didn't really install from USB back then. I mean, yes, you could do it, but it wasn't like today where when you install you don't have an optical drive anymore, you just install from a pen drive or any external hard drive, removable media, let's just say. So nowadays, but back then they still gave you installation disks. So that's why I decided to install Windows 7 from an optical drive, only because this is how you would have done it back in 2009. And I wanted to keep things kosher, if you will. Anyways, So as you can see, the installer was a lot more informative back then, and it sort of looks relatively unchanged from Windows 10, the current version of Windows, and also the final version of Windows, at least until further notice, because remember, Windows is a service now. There's no more new releases coming out, just feature updates. Yeah, great way to get people excited. The next feature update's out. Anyways, I won't rant on that. I think I've already ranted on that in the previous video, but this video is about Windows 7, not Windows 10. Anyways, so, as you can see, the UI is relatively unchanged in Windows 10. Yes, Windows 10, you have collecting information and installing Windows. You don't get the little dots anymore, though, in Windows 10. It just has the percentage. But you get this screen here, and this is how you would have installed Windows. This is basically the Windows 10 installation process. So I'm trying to decide whether I want to commentate through this installation process. I'll probably just make some jump cuts for the long parts because expanding Windows files usually takes the longest. So I'm probably going to do a jump cut here and then come back when we get to completing installation, or at least past this part. And I'm not convinced that this is actually doing anything because the disk keeps spinning up and spinning down. Yeah, I think we may have a problem with the disk. I'm going to cancel. Anyways, I'm going to figure out what's wrong with my installation DVD, and I'll be right back. Alright, and we are back. Sorry about that, I had a bit of a snafu. My optical drive was having some difficulties reading the installation disk, but that's what a little bit of water and a soft cloth will do, right? So anyways, we're at 96%. I knew it was going to fail the first time, just saying, because the disk, you probably couldn't have heard it, but the disk was just spinning up and spinning down, and as you can probably imagine, it's not supposed to do that when you're installing Windows. So anyway, so I just went ahead and cleaned the disk, restarted the installation. My external optical drive is a little finicky. It's always been that way. If it's propped up at an angle or something like that, it won't read the disk. So, but anyways, we were at 98% expanding Windows files. I decided to make a jump cut here only because when you're installing Windows from optical media, this portion can take a while. So anyways, we're back to the installation commemoration, sensation, celebration, sort of, at least for me, but not. Anyways, speaking of celebration, I don't know if I told you guys this, but back a couple years ago, I got some emails from Intel, because I'm with the Intel Technology Partner program, something like that. I used to be a gold partner, but I'm no longer that anymore. But anyways, I got emails, and the subject line said, "Celebrate Windows 7 EOL." I thought, that is not something you celebrate. That is something you lose all mental control over. And now that day has actually come. So anyways, we are restarting the virtual machine. Now, I would have installed this on a physical computer, but unfortunately, the only physical computers I have now are Macs. I do have one PC. I have an HP netbook, but I actually do have to use that for work, so I really didn't feel like partitioning the hard drive, and because I just was on such a tight time schedule, I just couldn't take with work and everything, I couldn't just take the hard drive, the SSD out, put a mechanical drive in, and get Windows 7 installed for you. So anyways, setup is updating registry settings. By the way, I'm sorry. Anyways, setup is updating registry settings. This is more of a typical Windows 7 installation. I'm over paranoid. Okay, we are recording. I was just over paranoid because I thought for a second I did not hit start recording, and I was going to be pretty PO'd if that was the case. And my dinner is done, but it'll have to wait because setup is starting services, and we all know that starting services is more important than eating, right? Anyways, we are at the completing installation phase of installing Windows, and the resolution is a little off. If I move my cursor down here, let's see. Yeah, see if I click and drag, the resolution's a little off. See, there's the progress bar down there. So I'll leave it like that so you guys can see. I'm going to have to adjust the resolution when we when we once Windows is installed. But yeah, anyways, so to talk about a little bit about, well, first let me go get my dinner so the microwave doesn't keep beeping and annoying the hell out of you. I'll be right back. I'm not going to stop the recording, just I'll let you watch this, but anyway, of course then it changes the resolution again on me, so let me go ahead and fix that really quickly here. Alright, I will be right back in just a moment, guys. Hold tight. And I am back just in time for the setup to restart the computer. Hey, look at me. Windows already knows that I have to eat dinner, so it's actually working because it knows I care deeply about Windows 7. It knows that I will forever cherish it for the rest of my life. Anyways, yeah, so I used Windows 7, just to tell you a little bit about my experience with it. I used it up until 2016 when I switched to the Mac. And even then I didn't fully switch. Now I have fully switched, but back then I was not fully switched to the Mac, and I don't know why my webcam is on. Oh, the face cam is on. Okay, well we don't want that. Let me go ahead and turn that off. There we go. I didn't even realize the face cam was on. Anyways, well, I didn't see it in the recording, but that's whatever. Anyways, this was a little different from Windows Vista. In Vista, it would say, preparing to start your computer for the first time, and would have the Vista logo at the top. My favorite part. Windows 7 Starter Edition. Let's type in a username. I'll type my name here, because why not? And let's not just call it Ben Kleinberg PC. Let's come up with a creative name. We'll say RIP Win7-PC. You know what? No, I've got a better name. We'll say RIP-Win7. There we go. Alright, should we put a password? Nah. Oh joy, the product key. Now, okay, I was going to show this on camera, the COA, because I do have, yes, this is a legitimate product key. This is not a pirated key. But anyways, nonetheless, since Windows 7 Starter Edition, I don't believe, at least right now, I don't believe Windows 7 Starter will be eligible for the paid extended support. I don't know, but Microsoft, if you're watching this and you want me to censor out the product key in a re-upload, please let me know in the comments, and I will do so. Anyways, what you all want to see, let me go ahead and type in the product key, and I'll read it out as I type it. MRPDF DD9TM. Didi, get out of my laboratory! Sorry, you know I had to do that, because Dexter's Laboratory was a show I watched as a kid. CKXYB 6YFRW RW 4JYXM. Alright. We won't automatically activate when I'm online because it won't work, because obviously with a US IP address, it's not going to allow activation from within the US. Although, I won't do it, and this won't be in this video, because I simply just don't have time. We're going to attempt to activate this. Now, you probably can't do it. I won't be able to do it online because, well, A, EOL, and B, I'm in the US, and it'll see a US IP address and won't let me activate in the US, but we'll see if we can activate by phone. Anyways, because Windows 7 is now dead, has now reached EOL, we will say ask me later as far as updates. We are in the Eastern time zone. Oh, and okay, it detected my network card even though I'm not connected to the internet currently, because like I said, my ISP hasn't come to set up my internet yet. But anyways, we'll say it's a home network just for now. And some of you while we're waiting for Windows to finalize our settings, well, that didn't take very long. But anyways, I wanted to mention a video I did. I cannot believe it has been, well, in December at least, it'll be 10 years since I uploaded this video. But back in 2010, at Christmas time 2010, I built a gaming computer and I installed Windows 7 on it. I also did a video back then about Windows 7 Starter Edition running on a Dell Optiplex GX270, which was my dad's old office computer. And yeah, I did a video of I got Windows 7 Starter to run on it. Now, I couldn't get the video driver to work because the Intel Springdale video driver was incompatible with Windows 7. But yeah, if you want to, I'll put that up in the cards, actually. If you guys want to check out that video and hear how idiotic I sounded when I was 13 years old and how I had a tendency to whisper in the form of a repetition of what I just said, you may check that video out because you will see I've changed quite a bit. I will say this, I do suffer from obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, and generalized anxiety disorder, so just for those of you OCD, GAD people out there, I do suffer from that. I'm actually in the process of making a channel trailer because, you know, my channel's sort of been waning a little bit, so I want to make something to rejuvenate my channel a little bit. Anyways, I can't talk anymore. We are at the desktop. Anyways, first off, oh, that's right. Oh, well, there's screen resolution. I was gonna say personalization is missing because Windows 7 Starter Edition does not have personalization. So let's try 1280 by 1024. Nope. Okay, it's a little too high. So we'll go. How about one? We'll just do 1024 by 768 and see if we can. If we keep the changes. Nope. Even that's too big for this. All right, fine, Windows. We will say 800 by 600 just so it'll fit in the OBS window. Anyways. Here we are. The desktop looks a little dated even today for, like, I thought XP looked dated after its EOL, but yeah, Windows 7 looks pretty dated nowadays because they've changed all the icons and made it look a lot boxier in Windows 10. Anyways, Windows 7 Starter Edition. Let's take a tour of it. So one of the new features in Windows 7 was the ability to pin items to your taskbar. For instance, I'll open the Start menu, which Windows 7, by the way, was one of the last versions to have the classic Start menu. In previous versions of Windows, you had Quick Launch next to the Start menu, right about here, but you had to manually go into your taskbar properties to pin items to Quick Launch. Well, with Windows 7, all you had to do was drag an app, and boom, it's on your taskbar, and you could just single click to launch it, and you were literally in business. So I can type hello world, and then if I didn't want this on the taskbar anymore, no, you can't just drag it up. That's called a jump list, which would have frequent tasks. For instance, if I did that on File Explorer and I saved a document, you can see I can go to my documents, my pictures, but also recent documents would appear here too. This is done by clicking and dragging up, unlike on a Mac where that would remove the icon from the dock. If I want to remove something from the taskbar, I simply right-click it and hit Unpin, and it's gone. Windows 7 shipped with Internet Explorer version 8.0, which unfortunately I will not be. Well, actually, no, I can show it. I just can't show any. Web pages because I don't have an internet connection. So, yeah, no internet. Yeah, we all know what the game in Google Chrome is, but I believe where is the help button? So, oh, I'm an idiot. It's right there, right in front of me. We'll go to About Internet Explorer. We are running Internet Explorer version 8. Cipher strength 236-bit, yeah, or 56-bit, I'm sorry. No update versions. This is the original 2009 version of IE8. And IE8 will not be able to open a lot of modern websites, so you're not really missing much. Windows Anytime Upgrade. Let me go ahead and open this up because this was actually introduced with Windows Vista, but in Windows 7 it worked a little bit differently. Windows Anytime Upgrade, which is now simply add features to Windows in Windows 10 and Windows 8, allowed you to either enter an upgrade key, which you could purchase online or at any major retail store, or go online and choose the edition of Windows 7 that's best for you, which unfortunately this no longer works. The servers have been down for several years now because Windows Anytime Upgrade was discontinued when Windows 10 was released, but this basically allowed you to simply upgrade. It tells you you're running Windows 7 Starter up here, but you could upgrade to, if we click this option, if the servers were still up, it would offer us Home Premium, Professional, and Ultimate editions to upgrade to. And it would allow you to shop and compare, basically. And you did not need any disks, because in Vista's Anytime Upgrade, you had to buy an upgrade disk, and you didn't have to reformat your hard drive, but it was basically the same thing as doing an in-place upgrade. But with this, you had no disks. It was just a key. It would download it would activate the features, because remember, every version of Windows, no matter what edition, has all the features of Windows of the highest edition, but you unlock those features with a key. So that's basically what you're doing here. You would enter an upgrade key. I just click enter an upgrade key, and if I had one, I'd enter it here and click next. But we don't have an upgrade key, and obviously this service is no longer usable. So unfortunately, that's something else I won't be able to show. I also won't be able to show Aero because Windows 7 Starter Edition does not have Aero. But basically, I'll explain a little bit about what Aero was. It gave you a translucent taskbar. If you hovered over the Show Desktop icon, if I open up a window here, if you hovered over this in Windows 7 Home Premium or higher, it would turn the window into glass, and you could see your desktop. But in Windows 7 Starter, you can still click it and see your desktop. You also had libraries introduced in Windows 7. So in addition to documents, music, videos, and pictures, you could create a library and store files in it, and it would appear over here too. Windows 7 also introduced Homegroup, which was removed in Windows 10. I don't remember exactly which build, but it was removed in a build of Windows 10. And Homegroup basically was like a Active Directory domain services, except for home networking. It allowed you to share files, folders, printers, any type of data without having to have a DC. And you had a specific password, and you could join home groups. Windows 7 Starter here, you could join a home group, but you could not create one. You had to have at least Windows 7 Home Premium to do that. So that's libraries and home groups. We'll take a look at Action Center down here, which was called Problem Reports and Solutions in Windows Vista, and was renamed, and is still Action Center in Windows 10. Only difference is in Windows 10, it's where the Show Desktop icon is now. But basically, Action Center would give you alerts, like, for instance, find an antivirus program online, which that's not relevant nowadays because Windows 10 comes with Windows Defender, so you no longer have to worry about that. But Windows 7, you had to download Microsoft Security Essentials, which I believe as of today is no longer supported on Windows 7 and will probably be discontinued soon. We also have Set Up Windows Update. And if we click Open Action Center will tell us what is wrong with our computer. So if a program crashes, or we're missing a driver, or something's just not working, Action Center was designed to help end users resolve problems that might be bogging their computer down. You also had the option, which I wish this were in Windows 10, to turn off messages about certain features of Windows. Anyways, so that's Action Center. We'll take a look at the Start menu. It looks quite different than it does than people are in It looks quite different than Windows 10 Start menu. As you can see, instead of displaying every program or app, as it's called nowadays, in a list here, we actually have to click all programs. Yes, back in 2009, they were not called apps, they were called programs. And the list would simply be shown here, where my cursor is. And you also had on the right-hand side your profile picture, which is now over here, and links to your personal folder, documents, pictures, games, computer. You get the idea. And instead of settings, we had the control panel, which is somewhat still in Windows 10. If you go to a run command and type the word control, you will still get the old control panel. However, certain features have been removed. So we can go by category, large icons, or small icons. I'm one of the very few techs in this world that actually likes category view, but nonetheless, I digress. Anyways, So you can see we can click on the different options here. I want to show Windows Defender. This is what Windows Defender looks like in Windows 7. Looks a little different than it does in Windows 10, huh? And I remember from the Vista Sucks video, which I believe is still on YouTube, they said it uses DCS, or doesn't catch shit technology. Yeah, this version of Windows Defender sucked, let's just say. What version are we currently running? Version 6.1 from 2008. So we obviously can't check for updates, and it won't let us scan without checking for updates, but basically that's what Windows Defender looked like in Windows 7, and it looked the same in Windows Vista too. Microsoft, however, back then did not advise using Windows Defender as your primary AV client. We'll take a look at categorical view. As you can see, because we're running Windows 7 Starter Edition, we actually cannot change the desktop background, although technically you can with some registry tweaks and, of course, unofficial software. I beg my pardon, third-party software, rather. But you could adjust the screensaver and, oh, gadgets, yes. I wanted to talk about gadgets, too, because gadgets were introduced in Windows Vista and were removed in Windows 8 because they're a security risk. But basically, we'll go ahead and drag the clock over to the desktop. This was my favorite one. The gadgets were little mini programs that you could interact with on your desktop. I personally preferred the neon clock because I have one of those myself. And you know, you could type in a clock label, and you could also set what time zone it was for. For me, when I used Windows 7 and Vista, I would set it to Jerusalem because obviously I'm Jewish, and one day I was thinking about making Aliyah to Israel, but that's way in the future, at least when I'm in my 30s or 40s. Anyways, so that's what gadgets were, and you could get rid of them just by clicking this little button, the little X up here. Gadgets, I wish Microsoft would bring them back. They were really intuitive, and in Vista you had the sidebar over here, which was removed in Windows 7. Anyways, down here, in addition to showing the time, we also have the date showed down here, which was not in Windows Vista, but this is a feature that still exists in Windows 10 today. We also had some updated icons for networking and battery, and of course Action Center. Also in Windows 7 with Aero, but this also exists in Starter Edition. Let's say I open up two programs. I'm going to open up, well, I have to set up Windows Media Player, so I'll just say recommended settings for now. We'll just go ahead and let Windows Media Player. I don't have any media, but this was a feature that was sort of in Windows XP and earlier. I believe it was also in Windows 2K and maybe even 98, but it was called Aero Snap. You could literally take a window, drag it to one side of the screen, take another window, and do the same. And even though I know the screen resolution's a little off, so it's not going to look great, but this basically allowed you to compare, like let's say I had two products pulled up on Amazon in two different windows. I could do this and simply shop and compare. Just compare them side by side without having to resize and drag windows all over the desktop. Another feature in Windows 7 was called Aero Shake, and what this does is, let's say I have Windows Media Player open, but I want to focus on Windows Explorer. When it was called Windows Explorer, it's now called File Explorer. I shake the window a little bit, if I can get it to work here. Oh, does 7 Starter not have Aero Shake? I don't believe it does. Okay. Well, anyways, if we were running a version of Windows 7 that supported Aero Shake, which apparently I didn't know that. I learned something new even after EOL. Basically, it would minimize every window except the active window to the taskbar. Also in Windows 7 Starter, let me pull File Explorer back up, you don't have thumbnail previews. A lot of people call this Aero Peek. The official name is thumbnail previews. But basically, it showed you a preview of your window. So if I were running a premium or business edition of Windows, or professional version of Windows 7, I would see a preview of my window here. But in Starter, that was removed, because remember, Starter Edition was designed for netbooks, nettops, low-cost PCs that really couldn't pull off a full Aero interface. Windows Media Center, which we will not get to take a look at because it's not included in Windows 7 Starter Edition, was introduced in Windows XP and was discontinued in Windows 10. Yes, it was an add-on for Windows 8, but you had to download it separately. But basically, it allowed you to record, stream, record TV, watch live TV, play movies, and music. So it was like an all-in-one entertainment center. Also, as far as games, we have certain games here on Windows 7. Now, unfortunately, since we don't have hardware acceleration enabled, it's going to warn us about that, but that's not a problem. The only thing is you won't get the arrow effects. So we'll play a little game of Minesweeper here. And I'm probably going to die. But, oh, yep, I died. And, but, you know, that's part of, everyone sucks at Minesweeper, right? Anyways, so that's just one of the games. It really isn't that exciting without the arrow interface. One thing that Windows 7 Starter Edition does not include is two games that are not included, rather, are Chess Titans and Mahjong Titans. Both of those required hardware acceleration and will not run if your video card is unsupported or you have no drivers installed. Backup and Restore was introduced in Windows Vista, so and pretty much all of this was introduced in Vista too. So we'll go ahead and go through some of the other stuff. We had Remote Desktop Session, Connection, MSTSC, Sync Center, which allowed you to synchronize files, but that was also a Windows Vista inclusion. Windows PowerShell, which we now use in Windows 10 and Server 2019, was intended to replace the old command prompt. System tools are all here, so I won't be showing all of these, but you get the idea. Windows 7 also had the ability to connect to a projector app, so you could easily connect to a wireless or wired projector. And Windows 7 generally was, by quoting PC Mag, was a clear improvement over Windows Vista. It was faster, more fluent, more reliable, and generally easier to use. It was more user-friendly. That was the word I was thinking of. So that's basically what Windows 7 was in terms of the consumer. To me, it is a gem in the history of Microsoft OSs, because Windows 7 to me is a treasure. And I'm going to make this full screen because I don't think you really like looking at my desktop. But anyways, yeah, Windows 7 is a treasure. I used Windows 7 when I was still a PC user. It helped me through some real rough times with bullying and harassment in school and just some really horrible things that I hope never happen, that I think should never happen to any kid in school these days. And Windows 7 will always hold a special place in my heart because it was reliable, it was fast, it was fluent, and I used it up until I graduated high school in 2016 because I got my MacBook Pro, the computer I'm currently using. So anyways, that's Windows 7 for you. All I can say now is I cannot believe 10 years has gone by so quickly. I cannot believe Windows 7 has already reached its end-of-life date. It feels like it came out just yesterday, and I even commented on Crazy Ken's Tech Misadventures farewell Windows 7 video saying that, you know, I'm going to miss Windows 7. I really am. Windows 8, not so much because I didn't use it as much, and Windows 10, I don't really use Windows 10 except at work because most of our clients use Windows. But Windows 7 will always hold a special place in my heart. Rest easy, buddy, and I'll see you up there when my time on this earth has come to a conclusion. So, for the last time, you and me, we are going to shut down Windows 7 for the very last time. Are you ready, kids? I can't hear you. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, we didn't get the shutdown sound. But anyways, that was Windows 7. Rest easy, Windows 7. And I don't know why VirtualBox crashes on when I shut down OSs, but that's just VirtualBox. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you did, please feel free to like and comment on this video. They help out a lot. I'm also going to announce that I'm going to try to get back into Let's Playing. I just have to set up my consoles, and then I'll do some more live streams and Let's Plays. I got some new games, so anyways, take care, guys. Rest in peace, Windows 7. I'll never forget you, or should I say, we will never forget you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. This is Ben Kleinberg.